When I searched on the internet for the effect of money on religion, I came across several websites that explain how to form your own religion, what to say, what to do, with the whole purpose of getting rich. So once a religion is run by lovers of money, they're no longer lovers of truth or lovers of God's word.
We don't send out monthly statements to each of Jehovah's Witnesses specifying a dollar amount that should be submitted to finance the work worldwide. Millions of dollars are required each month to finance the colossal kingdom work that is being supported by this organization in some 239 lands. Where does all of the financial support come from? Largely from you, dear brothers and sisters.
Hey everybody, my name is Jake and welcome to the show. It's Sunday service. I am a former Jehovah's Witness, current asset manager, and this is a weekly live stream that I do where I check in with my old cult leaders, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses and their various minions, and we see what they're up to. We definitely have a lot to talk about this week in the realm of money. Yes, a thing that I'm very bad at dealing with in real life. It involves math and numbers, things that I am absolutely terrible at processing in my own brain. So I'm going to be relying on smarter people and chat, who probably is smarter than me a little bit. So if you were watching this later, this is not a video essay or anything. This is a kind of hangout live stream where I ramble. And you can, if you want, check out the description of the video where there is a link to the Irish Independent article that we're going to primarily be talking about. And I'll update it after the fact with some of the other articles and reporting that we look at. So first of all, how's everybody doing? What's going on? I put in my contacts today. Special occasion. It's a holiday weekend. It's either Labor Day or Memorial Day. I'm never quite sure. Because growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, we didn't celebrate holidays. Slept until 6 a.m. That's usually when I wake up. Hey, Austin Mitchell's in chat. Long time no talk. What's up? Ron Pomo is part of the slept in gang. I happened to see our good friend Apostate Barbie in the chat. Sheol Society. Happy Sunday. Oh, thanks, Elliot. I do have stars in my eyes. And because it's a holiday weekend, figured do a little waking and baking with Jaking. And here to join us is our good buddy Bo, who's in the window right now. We'll see if he pops his little head out here. But before we get into this asset management stuff that I alluded to, let's get into another money-related thing that just happened, I believe, yesterday. This was shared to the ex-Jehovah's Witness subreddit by Larchwood, one of our great whistleblowers. If you don't follow their stuff, check them out on Reddit and Twitter and other places that I don't remember. They have brand synergy across platforms. But anyway, this is from New Zealand. A couple weeks ago, I had Apostate Barbie on to talk about this inquiry, this royal commission that happened in New Zealand. And just today, September 1st, so this is hot off the press, Jehovah's Witnesses must pay $48,000 in court costs for failed bid to be excluded from abuse inquiry. So if you don't know, there was a royal commission in New Zealand into various institutions, religious, secular, and otherwise. Jehovah's Witnesses, as always, were the only ones who really tried to fight it and sue the royal commission to not be held to account in any way. Suspicious. In fact, I think this article ends by saying that Jehovah's Witnesses was the only faith to file legal action against the abuse in care inquiry. It has taken legal action against similar inquiries that have occurred around the world, including in the United Kingdom and Australia. So that's not a great look. To always be the group saying, no, there's nothing to look at here. And in fact, you shouldn't look so hard that we're going to sue you. We're so innocent that we're not going to let you look at anything, and we're going to fight tooth and nail for you to not get our records. That's how much we don't have to hide. So, Jehovah's Witnesses must pay $48,000 in court costs to the Crown for a string of failed cases brought against the Royal Commission of Inquiry into Abuse in Care. The Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses Australasia sought a judicial review in 2023 in a bid to get out of being part of the inquiry. The legal action was launched after 3 years of legal wrangling with the inquiry behind the scenes to avoid scrutiny. Oh, here's Bo. Let's see, you can't see him. Buddy, hey, come back. Come back. There he is. There's the fella. He's an ornery one. So sorry, sometimes the stream must be derailed to satisfy Bo's erratic behavior. But so they wrangled for 3 years trying to get out of this. And then they took legal action to try and stop it, almost as if they were kicking and screaming to have no authorities look into their practices. The bid was declined, and the faith appealed the decision, but in April, the Court of Appeal dismissed its argument. The church has agreed to pay $32,321 in court costs to the Crown for the High Court judicial review and $13,212 for the claim made to the Court of Appeal, according to Crown law documents released to RNZ under the Official Information Act. The faith has applied for leave to appeal to the Supreme Court, but a decision on this has not yet been made. Good God. I'll finish this first. In June, the church tried and failed to get an advance copy of the inquiry's final report into the faith after filing an urgent claim that the High Court in Auckland. So they has to pay an additional $2,600-ish for that action. Like, they tried to get an advance copy before anyone else had it so that they could start doing damage control before anybody else had a copy of the report. So just relentlessly suspicious behavior all around. They just can't help but be super sus and super guilty acting and being, if you end up looking at the final result of these inquiries. So it's not a good look. And that $48,000, I think if you were to say that to a Jehovah's Witness, who of course you must remember are not really allowed to read this, and if they did happen to read it, are not allowed to trust it for reasons we've talked about on other streams. But this reminded me of something that I was reading last night for a video that we'll release tomorrow. I was looking at an old video with Philip Brumley, Watchtower's lawyer, who's always doing some things that are interesting. And people might remember that a couple years ago, Philip Brumley, their top lawyer, the top brass, cost Watchtower $154,448.11 in sanctions against him for lying to and misleading the court. So that's not good. So that's a lot of money on frivolous law behavior. I didn't word that right. These are, I would say, avoidable losses, like frivolous appeals to try and wriggle out of accountability that waste a ton of money. And then going to court and making a bunch of false statements. Why do this? Why not just be open and transparent and honest the way Christians are supposed to be? Well, it's almost like they have to appease narcissists who want to appear to be fighting for the faith rather than an honest pursuit of truth and justice. But I don't know. So anyway, those are large sums of money, right? But it's not that large. It's not that large compared to what the organization is able to bring in on a regular basis and how much money they have. Like these kinds of $150,000 fines, $50,000 fines here and there. These are drops in the bucket. And I'm stalling because the page I'm trying to pull up is being very, very slow. Good God. Sweet baby Moses. I'm trying to go to avoidjw.org. It's taken a very long time. Here, let me pull up this. Damn it. Why can't I pull up the thing that's in the description of my own stream? Here, I know what I can do. I will pull up the stream on YouTube and then click on it. That's what I'll do. And then I can see myself in the past saying the same sentence. All right. Now I can show this. This is from the Irish Independent, and this is quite big. All right. Former top UBS executive joins Jehovah's Witnesses' new Ireland-based asset venture. Slate of industry heavy hitters sign up to management company run by religious group. So shout out to John Mulligan for reporting on this in the Irish Independent. UBS is the Union Bank of Switzerland. Swiss banks, the preferred money transactions of billionaires and the terrorist gamblers from Casino Royale and Jehovah's Witnesses. So we'll just read this. The Jehovah's Witness religious group has established a new asset management firm in Ireland that features a slate of heavy-hitting directors, including the former chief risk officers. Damn it, my phone case just totally broke earlier this week, and now I'm just raw dogging it. I'm raw dogging my iPhone, and so it just slides out of my pocket all the time. Probably not good. Man, the Avoid JW is not pulling up. What is going on? Maybe we crashed the site because there's too much traffic-itis. Hey, thanks from Bumble Homestead for the super chat. Thanks for the stream. Listening while working. Assembling ballet costumes. That sounds awesome. Well done. I danced tap as a kid, and yet my parents were surprised to find out that I was bisexual. Never ballet though. Oh man, yeah, I can't access this Avoid JW article, which is deeply unfortunate. I'm gonna try it in another browser. Sorry, I'm just gonna do this real quick while I'm thinking about it. I'm using Chrome. Do I even have another browser on this? I've been having some issues accessing Avoid JW specifically. I don't know what the dealio is. They host so much information, I have to imagine it's a nightmare to maintain. So I'm not trying to be a complainy pants. Let's see. Avoid JW. This is what we call, in the business, a live awkward silence supercut. Yeah, no, whenever I click on the video, on the link from avoidjw.org, it specifically won't load that one. Like the one about the organization. I get an error code. So if we've got any Avoid JW people, let's sound the alarm. Here, let me show you what happens when I try and access this. Boom, boom, boom. Wait, I want to stop sharing this. Well, okay. Never mind. I'll work on it. I'm just realizing, like, it won't let me share something outside of Chrome because I'm running StreamYard in Chrome. God damn it. This is a terrible website. I've been told many times to switch over to a different thing and need to get on it. All right. One last sip of water, and then I'm going to read this for real. So, heavy hitters new asset management firm in Ireland. The experienced financial directors are all understood to also have ties to the religious movement. And that's why I wanted to access this Avoid JW article, because Ms. Usato outlines who these people are and what their connections are. It's really interesting. The religious group is thought to have tens of billions of dollars in assets and relies on anonymous donations from its members to support all of its activities. It has established 3 companies in Ireland in recent weeks, including Mina Asset Management, Mina Treasury Services, and Lepta Payment Solutions. All 3 are based at the community's Irish headquarters in Co-Wicklow? Just a wee bit of Co-Wicklow, darling. I don't know. Is that how you pronounce that? So if you don't know, witnesses really like talking about leptas and minas. These were like currency in, was it the 1st century or in Israelite times? I don't remember. Maybe we can look at this cringy clip later of Anthony Morris talking about his favorite lepta coin. And we can quote the iconic Jenny Bloom quote, "Lepta, I hardly know her," from that great stream that we did that one time where we reacted to that. The directors of, I think I skipped that. No, the directors of Mina Asset Management include 3 US-based directors and others based in Germany and Australia. One of its directors is Philip Lofts. He worked for UBS in the United States for 3 decades and was the group chief risk officer from 2009 to 2010 and from 2012 to 2015. So he was the group chief risk officer of UBS, of this Swiss bank thing. He also served as CEO of UBS Americas in 2011. He was a non-executive director of UBS Group Americas from 2017 until 2023. He is currently a non-executive board member of major Swiss private banking group EFG International. And then you've got Vasilios Papas, with an address in Germany. So I might have pronounced that totally wrong. Is also director of Mina Asset Management. I believe Vasilios Papas is for sure a Jehovah's Witness. I think that the Philip Lofts, it's less clear if he is a Jehovah's Witness. I may be mistaken there. I'm going off of memory, this Avoid JW article. So Mr. Papas is the co-founder and managing director of leading global asset management firm Assenagon Asset Management. It has about 57 billion euros? Is that what that is? Of assets under management. This is why I don't talk about serious things, mostly because I'm an idiot. Tobias Browlite? I haven't looked at chat in a minute, and I need help with pronunciations when I check back in. So Toby B is currently an adjunct professor at Germany's for-profit IU, International University of Applied Sciences, and lists his address in New York at the Jehovah's Witness property. Yeah, so this guy's like definitely a Jehovah's Witness. He worked for German banking giant Sparkasse as a portfolio manager from 2007 to 2009 and also held other roles at the group. Nolan Vengathasamy. Sounds like a magic spell. Vengathasamy is also a director. He worked as a bond trader, James Bond trader, with ABN AMRO from 1997 to 2001. He also worked for South Africa's Standard Bank Group. Another director of Mina Asset Management is New Zealander Stuart Bowl, who gives us the address as the headquarters of the Jehovah's Witnesses in Australia. That was my attempt at New Zealand. I don't know. The Jehovah's Witness offices in the UK was asked for comment. There are about 8.8 million witnesses in the world, and an estimated 8,000 across the island of Ireland. About 1.2 million are in the United States. It has amassed considerable assets since the movement was founded in Pittsburgh in 1872 by Charles Dace Russell. In 2015, it put its worldwide headquarters in Brooklyn, New York, up for sale in various lots. It was expected to fetch as much as $1 billion as the group planned to move to upstate New York. In 2018, the group sold the last of the properties it owned in Brooklyn, bringing up to 37 the total number of properties it sold in the borough since 2004. Yeah, 37 properties sold in that area of New York. That's a lot of cheddar cheese. In 2018, just one of the apartment blocks it sold in Brooklyn fetched $202 million when it was sold to Florida-based private equity firm Kane Anderson Real Estate. I definitely read that as Kanye at first and was like, oh my God. Now, I believe the main property that they sold was to Jared Kushner, was it not? The Brooklyn Bethel complex that used to have the big, like, read God's word every day sign. Among the well-known Jehovah's Witnesses are tennis champion Serena Williams, who was baptized by the group in Florida last year. I like that they include that as like a fun fact. Okay. All right. Sorry. Thanks. I'm killing it. Killing in the good way. I'm hearing a lot of critiques. Yes. So I don't know if this is true of Amazon, but headquartering these asset management firms in Ireland seems to be a thing for big money, shady people. As you could tell, I'm a little bit out of my depth talking about this stuff. But yes, this seems to be a thing. Where do they hide these highly educated JWs who work at these corporations? I knew some educated JWs, but most of the rich ones were business owners who weren't necessarily highly educated. Yeah, so actually, let me check in with Avoid JW again and see if I can access this article. God damn it, all to hell. Why? Why Avoid JW? So a couple of these guys, we don't know if they were sent to college by Jehovah's Witnesses, but Philip Brumley was. I talk about that interview that he did on JW Broadcasting that's since been deleted. I talk about that in the video that I'm releasing tomorrow. So I didn't want to get into it too much, but like he was, if you don't know about Philip Brumley, he was assigned by Bethel to go to law school because they needed a lawyer. They needed an educated professional with a law license. So they sent him to Bethel as an assignment. The way they talk about it in that interview makes it sound like it's something that Watchtower stopped doing, but that is just so unlikely to me. Like, unless they're just taking advantage of people who were like raised around the truth, as they would say, who go to college and then maybe grow a conscience later in life and are like, oh, I should go back to the witnesses. I don't know. It's all a little shady, but if you followed this channel for a while, you know that they do often in their letters to the elders that they send out that only elders read, they ask elders, like, survey your territory and see if there is anybody with certifications in law. Like, do you have any lawyers in your territory? We could use them at Bethel. Do you have anybody, in design or in medicine? Like, they need educated professionals, even as they are actively discouraging people from going and seeking higher education. If you don't know, the Anthony Morris talk that was removed from the website recently, which is mostly what this video is about that I'm doing tomorrow, was about higher education. And it's always been this big conflict. On one hand, they are so firm about not going to college for more than 4 years. They say it so specifically. And yet, they desperately need educated professionals out in the field to do their bidding. So the fact that that talk's removed, it could signify a change. It could signify that they are going to start shifting more towards Mormonism and encouraging people to go to college so that they can bring in money for the group. That would be smart, but I don't know. It seems hard to figure out if they really plan anything more than 2 steps ahead because they think the end is coming any day. Oh, wow. I would love to see this video with Jared Kushner. They used to be on the website. Craziness. Just checking in with chat. Yeah, they only want certain people to be educated. They only want people that they can trust. I mean, Robert Hendricks, for example, the guy who was and is no longer the head of their public information department, he's somebody who was college educated, was a very successful witness businessman, and was brought in from the field to Bethel to utilize his training in building up the PID. So they kind of do want people to break the rules and go to college, but they just can't say it. They're just like in this really bizarre place in life. Oh my God. don't remember this Jared Kushner video at all. That's crazy. What a shame. I wonder if I Google it, if I can pull it up from Google News or something. Ireland assets. No, I can't access it. Can anybody else? Like on your phones? On your phones? Because if not, Gravedigger is the most valuable trade, so you can bury all the people in paradise. I know people forget. They're gonna have to bury a bunch of peeps. Plumbers, electricians, and hairdressers were the main JW professions in New Zealand, aside from carpet cleaners. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. All right, so what are acceptable things that you're allowed to do? You're allowed to go to, like a trade school to become an electrician or HVAC person. You're like plumbing for sure. Any kind of like contracting work, like construction, and stuff like that. Stuff that you could use in a Kingdom Hall building project is good. I went to school for medical assisting, which was 2 years. I could have gone for nursing. They see nursing as okay for whatever reason, even though it's 4 years and really more schooling than that. Window washing was huge. Carpet cleaning was huge. Cleaning in general, like forming little cleaning companies for businesses. So, yeah, kind of hard manual labor. And something I was thinking about that I hadn't really I can open the main page. It's just when I click on the website, it doesn't. Sorry, when I click on the link to that article, it doesn't work. Here, I'll show you what happens. For JW, share this tab instead. So I can pull this up, right? But if I click on this, I get this. Doesn't make any sense. Super weird. I can just pull it up on my phone, I guess. Bananas. Brimley's has been in the cult since the 1920s. Holy shit. Well, in this video, I think he says that, like, even in the video, that he's been the head of the legal department for like 28 years, and that video came out in 2015. And that's something I've been trying to keep track of. Like, all these guys in the service department who make the rules about child sexual abuse, it's the same guys, it's the same people that have been there for decades and decades. So whenever they're like, oh yeah, we've made all these changes, well, it's the same corrupt, slimy people making the changes. Poor Miss Usato has had to deal with so many of my inexplicable issues accessing jw.org recently. I truly don't know why the hell that's happening. Very strange. Let's see. If I go to all latest news, and then I click on this, God damn it. See, look, if I click on this, totally fine. Make it make sense. And you can't. Open it incognito. There's an idea. I wonder if I can open incognito tabs in StreamYard. Sorry, this is so bizarre. This wasn't even happening earlier when I set up the stream. Holy shit, it works incognito. What a load of bullpucky. I think it's this StreamYard nonsense. That's what I think. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, folks. I really can't explain that because I truly don't understand it. Alrighty. So I want to jump down to what does Mina and Lepta mean in the organization? So this is really great. I really like that Ms. Usato did this. They kind of show the way that these words are ingratiated into the religion. It makes it so silly that they do this. I don't know. And we got a nice picture of a donation box there, which is great. Let's see. Yeah. The article also points out they feature educational videos teaching children to donate their allowance so that they are being generous to Jehovah, ensuring children equate giving to the organization as giving to God. Forms of donating are cash checks, credit cards, PayPal, real estate, wills, financial accounts, insurance policies, and other non-cash donations, not to mention the free labor from religious members. So this is really important in terms of their assets, right? They've got like all of these properties, but they also have this investment management because people will donate, like they'll give to Watchtower in their wills. They'll donate like payouts from their insurance policies. There's all sorts of weird little ways that you don't necessarily think of. And they even have a publication for like giving big bucks to the organization. I think maybe Mrs. Sato knows what I'm talking about, but I remember my uncle had this brochure at his home, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" My uncle, one of them, he was a school teacher for a while, and then a school principal for a long time. So he had like, I don't know, tenure. I think he was making some good money, was like literally vacationing constantly all the time. And so we never got that money, but the organization sure did. I remember when we got married, me and Christina were like, ooh, maybe they'll give us a lot of money. Nope, straight to Jehovah. So here are these little bios, and this is so valuable. So thank you so much to Mr. Sato and Avoid JW for doing this, because this is really useful. So these are these figures we were reading about, and some other bonus folks. Philip J. Lofts. Philip J. Lofts is a British national born in 1962. For over 30 years, Philip Lofts has worked with UBS, a Swiss bank and financial service company. He worked in a variety of executive and management roles, including being a member of the group executive board from 2008 to 2015. He was a chief risk officer from 2008 to 2010, and then again from 2012 to 2015. In between, he served as CEO of UBS Americas. While working at the group, he gained international experience from working and living in Europe, Asia, and the US. From 2017 to 2023, he was a non-executive directory of UBS Group Americas. In April 2023, he was appointed as a new member of EFG International's board of directors. Now, what is EFG International? Let's see. Entrepreneurial thinking meets wealth management. Oh boy, some more wealth. Really fucking first world problems. I got so much money, I don't know what to do with it. I can't even keep track of it. When the Jehovah's Witnesses established their 3 new financial companies, Mina Asset Management, Mina Treasury Service, and Lepta Payment Solutions in August of 2024, so these are brand new, they brought Lofts in to help manage these ventures. Imagine what this guy's salary must be if he is working for these Swiss banks. And he's a CEO, a CFO of all of these big, fancy, rich people companies. Watchtower, they got to be paying this guy, right? Like, what are the chances that he's a Jehovah's Witness already? I don't know. Seems not likely given his resume. When the Jehovah's Witnesses established their 3 new financial companies, oh, my bad. His background at UBS suggested the organization is leveraging his expertise to ensure that its financial operations are conducted with a high level of professionalism and strategic oversight, instilling confidence in the audience about the financial operations of the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's interesting. So it's almost like a clout thing to kind of like prove to outside world, maybe, that like, hey, we've got a serious guy here. Bring him a bit of worldly clout, perhaps. Fascinating. They accept crypto? I don't remember that. Or I didn't know that, I should say. Yeah. Holy shit. Us too. I saw a post in the Liberati about this the other day. Like, hey, anybody else in very bad financial straits, like because of being in the organization and then being inexperienced, and you're now kicked out from the safety net of the group, and you just have to figure this stuff out. Like, yeah, not only are you really kept poor as a Jehovah's Witness, unless you're these assholes who apparently broke the rules and got rewarded for it, you're put at a huge disadvantage when leaving because you probably don't have any savings and you don't have any social safety net at all. So, yeah, XJWs have a real uphill battle. Nice to know that these pasty, white, chunky, bald men in $5,000 suits are still being Captain Rolexes on the membership's dime. It's good. Water Baby says that Irish article says that anonymous donations, however, electronic donations are not anonymous at all now. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, you can like make an account on the website for recurring donations, so they're not necessarily anonymous. I guess I don't know how that works. Hey, yeah, hit the like button. I assume this guy was born in, who slacked off as a youngster but got back in as an adult. Can't see him being a straight convert. I know, that's what I always wonder about these people. I was trying to figure out if that was the case with a lawyer that isn't officially a witness lawyer, but that represented witnesses in that Kikert versus Watchtower case that I referenced with Philip Brumley earlier. It's hard. It's hard to know. Yeah, I also remember being told not to invest at all. Like, that was like you were literally putting your money in Satan's basket. Like, why would you invest in Satan's world? I remember hearing stuff like that. Interesting. So this guy appears to just be a worldly hire. Straight up. We don't know what this guy's associations to Jehovah's Witnesses are, but if you're an internet sleuth who wants to do some digging, it would be really interesting to learn about Philip Jonathan Lofts. These guys, these high-ranking executive guys, they've always got skeletons in their closet if television shows are anything to judge by, and that's how I base all my reality off of. So Robert Serenko and Mark Questel? But Robert Serenko, we've definitely talked about this guy a bunch on the channel because he's one of their main talkie guys. He gives talks on the website. And you might not know that he is the president of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. I figured that out recently just looking through old court documents. I was like, Robert Serenko? Now, the president is mostly a ceremonial role. And this is something that Watchtower is able to use to their advantage in court. They kind of give people these ceremonial titles that make them legally liable, but don't actually represent their level of influence within the group. Like, the people who are really making decisions are the governing body, right? And the governing body helpers, like the real upper crust. But they can't have a governing body member be like the president, because if they're, I don't know. I think that's why they do it. But like, Robert Serenko is not necessarily the guy like guiding the organization just because he's the president. I think it's just a ceremonial thing. This is one of the main legal entities used by Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, so he's the president of Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania since 2016. He's responsible for various administrative and financial functions. He also oversees and guides the financial operations and strategies related to the Jehovah's Witnesses' global activities, including asset management. Interesting. So that would fall under his bailiwick. Mark L. Questel, or Kestel, also a high-ranking member of Jehovah's Witnesses, has served as a secretary and treasurer for a considerable period. Okay, so this guy knows all about the money. His role involves overseeing financial strategies and operations, particularly those related to the organization's U.S. activities. He is also a key player in strategically planning the organization's innovative financial initiatives. Ooh, interesting. We got a nice little picture here of all their guys. And Anthony Griffin, assistant secretary and assistant treasurer. Anthony Griffin is also, this is the guy who talks about his mother's sweet potato pie on JW Broadcasting. So I was looking into him recently. He's also in the service department. Is or was. But yeah, so he's kind of just the worst. He knows about all of the CSA shenanigans and all the money shenanigans. And then there's Tobias, last name unpronounceable. Rowlite? Rowlite? Rowlet? I think somebody said in chat earlier. Growlife? It does kind of look like a Pokemon name. Earl Brumley is currently appealing his fine again. Good God. It's pronounced Funke. I know. Nobody can have the name Tobias anymore after Arrested Development. I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't the case. And this is exactly what they do. If you're a patron, you can watch me do a stream where I kind of go through some Gary Bro court documents. Sorry, I haven't been quicker to put out that video on their CSA legal shenanigans. Just been a lot going on, so I've been trying to do some simpler stuff, focus on non-channel shit in the meantime. But this is exactly what they do. And the Kikert versus Watchtower. Hang on a second. I'm putting this aside just so I can finish this thought because I have ADHD. So this is exactly what they do. Gary Bro was really like had his pants down. He was spanked in front of the in front of the God. What do you call it? It was a civil case. I almost said in front of the jury, but it was not a jury. It was a deposition. But his whole thing was like, yeah, I don't really know. I'm just the president of whatever. They make it sound like, well, that's a different department. It's what Jeffrey Jackson did in the Royal Commission, where he's like, well, I work in translation. The service department's a different field. I wouldn't know anything about that. That's their strategy throughout all these things. When in reality, they all share an office space. They all live together and often are roommates together. Like they know what everybody's doing. And yeah, of course, the governing body knows exactly what's going on there. So Gary Bro in particular was called out by the lawyers in this CSA case. They were able to reveal like, okay, so you told us you don't know about this thing, but as it turns out, you are actually the president of this thing. So you just lied. So they get in trouble with this crap a lot. So it's not even a particularly good legal strategy, but they do it. Okay, now I have to look for Apostate Barbie's poop comment. I'm going to eat a diamond right before I die and donate it to Watchtower with the caveat that Let specifically has to manually sift through my poop. Okay, that was a really good comment. That's really good. That's a great plan. Leave something to Watchtower, but make them go through some real hoops to get it. Sorry, back to this. Tobias B. is a Jehovah's Witness from Germany. Since 2016, and 2016 is really significant because this is when this shift to Warwick happens. Fun fact, my upcoming novel, Not a Cult, might have heard of it. It takes place in 2016 for this reason. It takes place in this transition period between Warwick and Brooklyn. You know, Brooklyn's going away, Warwick's starting. To me, that felt like a real hinge point for the organization. And so, and I also wanted the imagery of like the Brooklyn Bethel and stuff. So that's why I set the book there. But it's really crazy seeing this all lined out. Like, yeah, a lot of stuff happened in 2016 for them. They started to make a lot of money off of these property sales, and they started shifting things around, it seems. So this is a German guy. He's the director of something. I'll give it the old college try, despite not having the old college education. Vermogensverwaltung, Jehovah's Jugen, Hingedigadurgen, a Jehovah's Witness financial entity based out of their Salters headquarters in Germany. I believe that's where Ben was, right? That's where Ben Ford was. Maybe he knows this guy. Maybe they're best friends. This is also where Jehovah's Jugen Corridor, Jehovah's Witnesses Corporation under Public Law, is based. So that's some law thing. He now lists his address as the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses in Tuxedo Park, New York. It is unclear if the organization has sent him to school themselves, but it wouldn't be the first time Watchtower has done this. He had a doctorate, PhD, holy shit, focused in business/managerial economics from TU, Dortmund University. Since 2012, he has served as an adjunct lecturer at IU, International University of Applied Sciences, teaching corporate finance and performance management. So he's doing okay. His wallet's a little heavy. From 2009 to 2020, he served as a partner with another person. Or no, Braulight Geberber. that had an. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at pronouncing things. It has an address somewhere in Germany. And in 2021, he has deregistered this company in the United States as Browlight LLC with an address at Jehovah's Witness headquarters in upstate New York. From 2007 to 2009, he worked as a portfolio manager for German banking giant Sparkasse. God damn it. In 2017, he conducted videos regarding risk management and accounting for nonprofit organizations. He then wrote a dissertation involving interviews with organizational leaders and directors, focusing on comparative studies where international aspects of accounting and controlling practices. Given that Watchtower has numerous cooperating entities in the UK and Germany, it's likely that Brolight leveraged his religious connections to interview staff from Germany and UK Bethels for this dissertation. Oh, wow. I love this. That's like in school assignments sometimes, like, just throughout being in public school, you'd have to like interview an old person, interview somebody about this. And I would always just like find somebody in the congregation to do it. His dissertation for the attainment of his doctorate, risk management in nonprofit organizations, an empirical comparison between Germany and Great Britain is found here. Oh, wow. So they have his dissertation on the website. That's great. And now there's Mr. Pappas. He likes it when we call him Big Pappas. He's the director of Mina Asset Management. Like Toby B., he is a German national and a member of Jehovah's Witnesses. He's a co-founder and managing director of this one that I had trouble with earlier, Asenagon Asset Management, a firm managing around $57 billion in assets. His involvement in Mina Asset Management suggests that he is leveraging his extensive experience in asset management to help oversee and manage the financial operations of the new Irish ventures linked to the Jehovah's Witnesses. Good God. So this is just so fascinating. It's one of those things that makes total sense. It makes total sense that they would have guys like this who go to school for purposes such as this. But I would have never thought, like, it just never crossed my mind. Sorry for a big gulp. Right on Mike. Anthony Morris used to brag about how loaded he was, but Watchtower bought him a house anyway. Did he really? Stephen Lett definitely has a lot of money. His brother is a business owner. Wish I'd seen the Jackson clip. Yeah, saved so much heartache. If you'd seen that clip earlier. Yeah, I mean, this is really right. Like, no college for witnesses unless it's an effort to protect pedophiles. Like, that's why they send people to college, to protect them from legal cases that 90% of the time are about CSA, and to manage their assets, which they get by exploiting labor and building cheap properties using free labor for members. Absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, these people, boy, it would be so fascinating to know, like, how do they get involved in the group? I want to know their arc, I want to know, but it seems like people like this is kind of a random thought off the top of my head, but like, you've probably noticed if you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness that we're less popular than the ex-Mormons. I mean, in general, Mormons have way more members than Jehovah's Witnesses. But because it's a group that encourages higher education and encourages having kids, there's just a lot more of them. And there's a lot more of them in educated positions who then use that education to help the group, right? So because of that, if you tune into something like Mormon Stories, there are often like high-ranking people that have really interesting knowledge that wake up and go on that podcast and can spill the beans. We don't have a ton of that in the ex-witness community. Like, it's a big deal when somebody who's a really high-ranking member leaves. We had it with Raymond Franz back in the 80s. We had it with Rolf Ferrulli, kind of, in the last couple years. I think that happened in, 2019, 2020. He's a circuit overseer with an education. He was an academic, and he's somebody that the organization used their academic credentials to bolster the organization's false teachings about 607 being the date of Jerusalem's destruction or whatever. And that guy left and wrote a book, and it's very interesting. Unfortunately, Rav Feruli is still very much like, he believes that witnesses were at some point the truth and have just recently gone astray, but like he totally hangs on to the 607 teaching seemingly because it came from him, and like he dedicated his life to it, so he has no interest in deconstructing that part of his faith, so it's not all that useful to raising awareness, because he's not really telling all. He wrote a tell some book. And what will be interesting is the more that the organization takes risks by sending people to college to gain these educations and putting them in worldly institutions to get experience and then utilizing that for the group, that's something that if those people ever wake up, it is going to be a big deal. Like, it'll be a much, much bigger deal if somebody like this leaves. I think I think a lot about why we don't make the news as much as other groups. And I think a big part of it is a lot of times celebrities, like ex-JW celebrities, like Donald Glover, actively don't want to talk about it. He still has family in the group. He clearly left at a very young age and maybe was never baptized. I don't really know. Like Jerry Minor from like SNL and famous comic actor. Like, he's pretty big and he's talked about it, but he's also, lived much more of his life outside the group than in it. And people like Michelle Rodriguez, she doesn't talk about it much. So we don't have any celebrities that go to bat for us. And then you also, and a lot of times you have the Serena Williams things, which is that she is a celebrity who was kind of raised around the witnesses, gets baptized, and then it's like, oh, wow, she became a Jehovah's Witness. And what we just don't have is, like, in Scientology, when somebody like Leah Remini speaks up, it's like, oh, wow, this is a famous person who already has a huge platform. And so it makes a big difference. And she's able to start sounding the alarm on all these other celebrities, right? And then with Mormons, many famous Mormons have left, but also just within the group, you get people who, like, okay, I worked in this department. We conducted internal surveys that nobody knows about. And so I know exactly what the internal Mormon church membership feels about homosexuality. Like, they're able to kind of leak this stuff. Or like, their scholars or historical scholars can leave and then talk about how the organization fakes its history. And we don't really have that. Think about Nexium and the fact that that is a group that targeted wealthy, new agey lifestyle people who, like, already had some expendable income to spend on a self-help course. And some of those people were actors or worked in prominent industries, so they're able to form connections. And I think we just don't have a lot of that. And so that was kind of a rant, but I hope it made sense with what I was saying. Like, I'm really fascinated to see how many more of these kinds of guys are there in various fields. Like, how many more highly educated people do they have working in professional fields who are almost like these, like, shadow Jehovah's Witnesses? It sounds conspiratorial, except it's literally not, because here they are. So I am really fascinated by what would happen if somebody like this woke up and was willing to spill the beans. So anyway, hey, thanks to Custom Faded for the $50 super chat. Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you so much. That is sincerely so kind. Yeah, I mean, Donald Glover, like, I'm a nerd. I've listened to, like, the Community commentary tracks, all of them. Don't worry about it. And, like, he'll make fun of Jehovah's Witnesses, but, like, he has said, like, his mom is still a witness, and so he doesn't want to go too hard about it. he clearly just hasn't made that his thing, right? He's an artist, and he doesn't want to make his whole thing being the ex-witness guy in the same way that Leah Remini is kind of like the ex-Scientology person. I think it's kind of a double-edged sword to do that to your career. Cat Williams. The problem with Cat Williams is that he's Cat Williams and that he's he's amazing, but nobody takes him seriously. Like, just by definition, like, I love Cat Williams. He's crazy, but that's kind of it. JW catch and kill stories. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Sherry Shepherd. Yes. Good point. That was actually a thing. She's talked about that. I always forget about Sherry Shepherd, which I shouldn't, because she's in maybe my favorite comedy, 30 Rock. Her single is dropping. MJ was an interesting phenomenon. I think if he wasn't so mercurial and far removed from the average person, it would have been a good witness. I know. I think, like, that's another one. Like him, to a lesser extent, Prince, they're so quirky, let's say, and they're so mysterious. Their whole brand is like, they're kind of unknowable figures. So it's just like, you can't really get to know them super well anyway. I don't know. Yeah, I get it. And I don't. Okay, I read it, big game player. What do I win? All right, so what else? I wanted to, just while we're still on this, these are the various, I found this very useful. I appreciate Ms. Usato breaking these down, the key entities, because they've got like Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, blah, 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 of Pennsylvania, of Britain, the International Bible Students Association. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, because there's also an International Bible Students Association still in the US that represents the Bible students. So this is a UK one that the witnesses have like hung on to. That's interesting. The Kingdom Hall Trust, I didn't know about this one, another UK-based entity. This trust manages and oversees properties and facilities used by witnesses in the United Kingdom. This Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Ireland. And then Jehovah's Zeugen in Deutschland. The German entity, recognized as a public law corporation. It manages Jehovah's Witnesses' religious and organizational activities in Germany. But yeah, they're pushing more asset-based stuff. And when you think about it, let's see. What was that British one? They're selling, somebody sent me this over email, but they're also selling off a ton of British properties. I wonder if I still have that. I'm just like scrolling through my emails, and it's reminding me, first of all, that I need to respond to many emails. If you've emailed me and I haven't responded, I apologize. I'm very bad at doing that. Does anybody know what I'm talking about, by the way? Because I could probably just Google it. IBSA properties. That's what it is. All right. IBSA properties. Yeah. Let's share this. Okay. Ullswater Buttermere. Ullswater Buttermere apartments. Flats. So, these are previously owned or currently owned by Jehovah's Witnesses, and they are trying to sell them. Look at these fucking fancy ass buildings. Good Lord. Oh, so by the way, disclaimer. International Bible Students Association, a charitable company, gives notice that the sole purpose of these particulars is to provide outline information on this property. So, like, you can see this IBSA property, the International Bible Students Association. And more websites, they link jw.org. And they say this is a registered charity acting on behalf of Jehovah's Witnesses in Britain and Ireland. So, whoa! Good God. So, apartment 1, under offer, 795,000 dollary-dues. Sorry, that's Australian currency. Is this pounds? Is it? Irritated bowel syndrome properties. I know, that's what I see when I see IBS. Yeah. Well, I think that these were residential homes. These were probably compounds that they used for housing their high-ranking members. Maybe they were the retirement properties. Does anybody know? Let's see. I'm going to try and do a conversion rate just so I know. Dollars? Is that a pound, by the way? Can somebody just confirm that that's what that is? A pound, the little L with the lines through it. So this many pounds sterling. If that was pounds, it translates to 104. What? No, it's over $1 million in US dollars. It's like a million something, million and change. Okay, this is what's going on here. So this 795,000. Good God, my tongue just like jumped off a cliff mid-sentence. 795,000 pounds is over $1 million United States pounds of dollars. Yeah, 1.4 million for one apartment unit, maybe. Yeah, this is just one unit, right? Like, this isn't the whole building. This is, this apartment has been furnished with fittings reflective of the luxurious space and ambiance of the apartment. That's bananas. Apartment 5. Whoopsies, I'm looking at the wrong thing on screen. God damn. So this is apartment 5. So 1.3 million pounds. Let's look at this video. Ooh. Which actually sounds like it's... This is from jw.org. This is what they play in... God, I can hear it. I can hear the fucking... Like, Jehovah wants us to study the Bible. Like, I can hear it playing in the background of one of their videos. Can't think of what it is. What happens at a kingdom hall of Jehovah's Witnesses? All's what a court. Hips and London properties. Hardwood floor. I mean, hey, I'll say it. Nice. Nice place. But this is an apartment, right? And it's 1 point blah, 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 blah. Is that a month? Like, apartments here around these parts, you pay a monthly fee. I'm assuming that this is like a condo situation. These are all refurbished, free of charge by volunteers before resale. Yeah, good point. Absolutely true. They would have had Bethelites or just normie Jehovah's Witnesses clean this elaborate thing for free. And, you know, I like to keep some personal information to myself, but I'll admit right here and now that if I were to give you a tour of my apartment, it would not be this big. It would be smaller. Just every room would be smaller. You know, like instead of 2 sinks, it's 1 in the bathroom. Instead of a toilet that floats above the floor, ours does not. God, this bathtub is amazing, though. It is great. Here's a question to chat. Let's just say you have expendable income and you just want to live in this area. Would you, being an ex-Jehovah's Witness, buy this place? Or would it feel a little weird? Would you worry about just like witnessing vibe? I guess it would be so unethical because you would be giving the money to Jehovah's Witnesses. So I guess not by definition, right? I'm saying, I guess in my brain, I was like, even if witnesses didn't get the money and this just went to the Queen herself, that I still wouldn't, because I think I would be worried about like the ghost of a retired Bethelite who died in this room or something. Right? Literally Property Brothers. Big no fucking way from Culty Board. Yeah, no. Jesus didn't have a place to lay down, but these guys have luxury apartments. Unbelievable. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. I can tell they vacuumed it the way I was taught to vacuum by Jehovah's Witness guys, where you leave the little... Oh, I love those. What do we call these? This is important, actually, because I was trying to describe this in a scene once. I couldn't think of it. What are these kind of like angled windows that are, like match the angle of the roof? What do you call that architecturally? A big problem of mine is I don't know any architectural terms. A dormer. It's the Hey Arnold thing is exactly what I was trying to fucking say. I remember, like, I asked Christina, I was like, okay, in Hey Arnold's room, just slanted. I'm probably sure that's what they call it. No, but there must be. Like, if you're an architect, you wouldn't just say, we want some windows. You would say, we've got this room that's like under the roof. And so the roof is low. Bay windows. That's it. That's what it is. Okay. Madness. This is absolute madness. I still want to know. Wait, we could contact their sales team. I could call. What's going to happen? Okay. I think we should prank call the sales team. But I clearly don't know anything about money. So let's get some suggestions. Let's get some suggestions in chat. Great question. Now that, like, once it's off the books for God's One True Organization, is it like no longer in the safe zone for Jehovah's Witnesses? Is the shield no longer around it? Ooh, go with a mustache. Kind of like you did on this very stream. Okay. The latest Ireland revelation, big game player. Scroll to the beginning of the stream. That's what we were talking about. Unless you mean something that's happened in the last 10 minutes. God. Look at these fucking French window. Roof slope. Circular skylight. Designed with luxury living in mind. Why would Jehovah's organization design anything to live in luxury? That's the thing that the governing body doesn't do. You hear all these things that the governing body lives lives of luxury. Where would anyone get that idea other than advertisements from the properties where they live? Let's see. Oh, can I spell luxury right on the first try? I don't know. But I'll bet I can find that clip. God damn it. I'm trying to use that JWS software. It's 8 p.m. You'll have to leave a message? Oh, that's unfortunate. Shit, if I would have started earlier. Well, maybe it's just some, like, Jehovah's Witness with his cell phone on. Luxury. That would be a good name. Okay, so what? Because we need a name, right? So what should be my British name? It should be like Nigel Toppings Bottom, something like that. Tuffetson. I'm trying to find that fucking Lives of Luxury thing. Is luxury with an E or a U? Now that looks really wrong. Holy shit. I think I did spell it wrong. I did spell it wrong the first time. It's devastating. It's from Stephen Lett, right? He says it in his Voice of Strangers. Found it. Found it, motherfuckers.
You so they can live lives of luxury. Some examples of their strange teachings are that the faithful slave protects pedophiles, or that slave will exploit you so they can live lives of luxury.
Wow. And they would never do that. It's just that some of their properties that they live in were designed with luxury living in mind. Bespoke design in modern fittings. So it was bespoke, you see. It was made just for their luxurious living. But yeah, it's literally like every accusation is a confession, that whole thing. Well, there's no need to swear. Well, listen. I get a little defensive sometimes. Nigel Luxury Tuffets Barringtonshire, Jovington. Let's see. I could do a deeper voice. I think I should try to disguise my voice as much as possible. I was trying to do like, I was trying to do, what was that? That was William Malenfant. Sort of one of these, a deep, almost Plankton from SpongeBob type voice, but with a bit of a British accent. A Brit of a British accent. Oh boy, I must have been hitting the bottle. I must have had too many points. Terrible. You've not met a Jake in the UK. You haven't met a Jake in the UK? Well, that's mental. Okay, sorry. This is cringe. I want to see what happens when I call. Let's see what happens. Contact. We didn't even look at the butter share. Telephone. Well, I want to see what happens. I have been thinking about, like, it'd be so great if we had a direct line to a Bethel department we could prank. I never want to prank the wrong person, just like a nice witness trying to get through their day. I wouldn't want to make them upset. But if we could call the right person, it'd be great. That, my phone did not like that I just called that. I didn't like that at all. Maybe I typed it in wrong. 371-3379. Might not be able to make international calls on this. No, it doesn't seem like it. I kind of did, but it was like, if this is an emergency, please hang up and call 911, which is not normally what it says when you reach a real estate office. That's like when you call your doctor's office after hours. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? Stewie? I could do Stewie from Family Guy. No, that wasn't very good. We've been watching a lot of Family Guy, so I've been trying to do voices. Family Guy voices. But I'm pretty good at the creepy guy down the street. Come back. Get your fat ass back here. I can kind of do him. And I can sort of do the oh no guy who sort of says, like, oh no. Joe,
Patrick Warburton is hard to do.
Lois, Quagmire, oh, giggity giggity. I don't know if I can do Quagmire. That was okay for off the top of my head. I haven't really tried that. I was trying to figure out a Cleveland, but his voice is hard to do. It's like a little too deep for me. Peter Griffin. I could probably do Peter if I practiced it, but it's not very good. It just sounds like me almost doing a good job so far. So, that'll be something I have to work on. I need to actually work on these. I think the impression game has really fallen off. I think I've been distracted by other things. No. That's my favorite bit in the show, by the way. Always gets me, like, it just completely catches me off guard every time. Cary Elwes. I do love him. He's kind of a real Ned Flanders. I always think of him from Liar Liar. Which I have a script about. I have a script about Liar Liar. Planning it for the new channel. Maybe I'll talk about that. Okay, so before we get into the next segment, I'll do my house cleaning bit. And thank you so much for $9.99 from 00. I'm assuming that means you're a 00 agent. Your file shows only one kill, and it takes 2. Oh yeah, we might have to do a cute doggy section. Okay, so in our little interim section, well, there's a couple things we can do here. One, I can show a video that not everybody got to see, not everybody's seen, and it'll allow me to take a bite of my snack, which is always an important part of these. You're getting a puppy tomorrow? Oh my god, how excited. Oh, Kip from Napoleon Dynamite. I definitely used to be able to do all the Napoleon Dynamite characters. That's a Witness classic. I'm trying to think of, like, how does Kip sound? He's like, you're just jealous that I've been chatting online with babes all day. And then Napoleon Dynamite is down here. God, I can't do it still. No, that's terrible. That's terrible. Absolutely awful. It's been a long time since I've watched Napoleon Dynamite. Okay, hang on. I got to show you what kind of dog are you getting, Sparky? And have you considered that Sparky is actually a good name for a dog, especially like a firehouse dog? Oh, great. Sorry, just reacting to something in real time. Where's my YouTube studio so I can show this video that currently is only private? All right, so I'm going to show you this little number right here. I'll share this instead. Sorry, okay. I'm going to share this little video, and I'm going to take a bite of my banana and get some more water. So please enjoy this secret interlude. Oh shit, it's muted. A lot of problems are happening here. There's a logistical error, which is I need to make this full screen and then somehow get back to my StreamYard. Okay, here's what's going to happen. Check this out.
Greetings. Jehovah has revealed his sacred secret. Are you good at keeping honorable secrets? What about secrets? Jehovah had a secret, human secret, Jehovah's sacred secret, the sacred secret. Jehovah's secret was still a secret. Puzzle box. His sacred secret, sacred secret. Sacred secret, Jehovah's sacred secret, God's sacred secret. When did the sacred secret, God's sacred secret, which he kept secret? What does Jehovah want us to do with his sacred secret? The sacred secret, sacred secret. The sacred secret that we all may continue to declare Jehovah's sacred secret. During this broadcast, we have considered only a few facets of God's sacred secret.
Hey, everybody! Back from a break. Had to get some water and wanted to show off our beautiful friend, Peach. Hey, baby! What's up, baby? She's in a huggy mood, cuddly mood. Peaches, she's the coolest dog in the world. Woohoo! What a sweetie. And you can see Mr. Bo right there. It's hard to control yourself in reverse via camera. Ah, boy. Little cuties. Okay. Back to it. I actually didn't get my banana at all. I didn't give myself enough time. But so you got to hear about that secret, the secret box situation. Okay. I think we've talked enough about money stuff. So quick little bit of channel business. This is a great time to sign up and become a member or a patron because I just released an hour-long exclusive video for patrons and members, and I think it's really fun. When I first started it, would do these like post-mortem reviews, just going through like, okay, here's what I uploaded this month. Let's go back and see like what was good about these videos, what wasn't, what do I want to work on in the future. But it had been a long time since I'd done that. So I basically go through almost every upload that I've made this year, go through what I like about it or what I don't, show some clips and critique myself and pat myself on the back a little bit. I'm not making it sound super appealing, but I promise it is. No Christina cameo today? Unfortunately not. Well, she's welcome anytime. She's doing homework. She looked to be quite in the zone, in the study zone. But she made a cameo in my real life when I went in there, said hi to her, and got the dog. And Bo is, Echo. Chunky Echo's here. Oh, there's the boy. Chunky cat. Big Chunky. Hey, bud. I know. He doesn't like being picked up. Echo likes to cuddle, but he does not like to be picked up. This has been his thing since day one. So yeah, you can view that as a member or a patron, and it's good. Also, I am going to be releasing a video tomorrow on the deleted Anthony Morris talk on education. I've wanted an excuse to talk about that video for a while and talk about higher education stuff, and they deleted that video. And so I figured I would take that opportunity. So I recorded it, and we will release that tomorrow. My team, me and Christina and Bo and Peaches and Echo. Hugs to Christina. I will make sure I send those hugs her way. And if you are a patron, you can see some writing stuff that I did. Posted a big excerpt from Not a Cult, which you can read, because the book's now, it's not going to come out till next year, because I've got another writing project that has taken precedent for reasons you can also read about. Not important. Just know that I'm working on stuff, and more fun stuff is coming. I'm hoping to finally, I'm going to release this video tomorrow, and then hopefully I'll spend this week working on the first of a new channel video that I'm actually going to do for real this time. It's going to be a Star Wars video, but hopefully the channel will be about whatever I want. Like, I want to be able to just talk about whatever. And I think that my approach to this channel, kind of focusing in on minutia, is going to be the flavor of the new channel. Like, because the problem for a while, like I've been writing scripts for years, trying to figure out kind of like, well, what's the angle? And the problem is, well, why does anybody need to watch your YouTube channel? Like, what are you offering that hasn't been done a gajillion times? And I think that between the sort of voice and editing style that I've developed on this channel, combined with subjects that maybe more people are interested in, it might take off. So I think the first video I'm going to release on this new channel is about the animatronic puppets in Star Wars, just kind of my favorite little guys in some of the movies, and just sort of using that as a springboard to talk about a lot of things. So we'll see if that sounds fun. If me talking about Star Wars puppets is appealing to you in some way, well, there you go. And I've got a lot of alt-worldly stuff I'm working on, but just trying to figure out how to pace myself and do all the things that I want to do in my life. So many aspirations. A video about puppets, a video about the movie Liar Liar and how it fits really well into the schematic of a sketch comedy or improv scene. Really important stuff I'm working on. Okay. So because I'm going to talk about that Anthony Morris thing tomorrow, and because I saw last night while I was recording this that Danny, XJW Caleb, did a live stream about it, I don't feel the need to talk about any of that today, but I do want to talk about some stuff on jdub.org. So let's see what's new with our old friends. And maybe you can let me know. I have been curious about, like, I'm always interested in broadening the horizons of what we can talk about on this channel. Like, I always think it should circle back around to the themes of like cult and high control groups and stuff, even if it's not specifically Jehovah's Witnesses. But like those Project 2025 videos leaked, and I haven't watched those, but that seems like something that it could be fun to talk about. It seems like it's, I guess it's more political, I guess, arguably, than what I talk about now, but it seems like it'd be fun. So I don't know. I go back and forth on like, maybe I should start like a politics streaming channel. But then I remember that I'm an idiot who doesn't actually know anything about politics. And then I also remember that that's never stopped anybody before. So, people are talking about A Quiet Place, I think, because Lowe said that Echo would not survive in A Quiet Place. And that is absolutely true. He's much too meowy. And that's why we named him that, is because he echoes back at you. So now that they've erased not just AM3's morning worships, but also his JW broadcasting stuff, definitely not a call. Well, they haven't released all of his broadcast and all of his morning worship. Like, some of them are still there, right? Playing any video games lately? I'm honestly, first of all, you're using it. This is from user, please feed me poop. I have been playing just Zelda. I made myself finish my second playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom because I was having so much fun, and it just made me want to play Breath of the Wild. So that's what I've been playing. But I really just haven't playing. I have not had time to play a lot of video games. So when I do, I just kind of want it to be cozy, and I haven't played a lot of new stuff. And frankly, probably the next new thing I'll play is this new Zelda game that comes out for Switch in a few weeks. Okay, there's a few things that are new. These. We talked about this amazingly creepy guy on the last stream, Per Christensen, who gave disastrous mask off talk. James Mance is a real creep. He sort of has the stilted JW way of talking. He sounds like a robot. So we could look at this, and I haven't watched it at all. I started watching the Anthony Griffin one before I started this stream and couldn't figure out if it was going to be good or not. But Anthony Griffith came up earlier, since he's the secretary-treasurer of Scam Industry.
What weighs 3 pounds, requires 10 watts of energy, can perform 10,000 trillion calculations a second, and has a data storage capacity that some scientists say cannot even be measured?
Your mom's dildo.
Is it the latest computer? Electronic device? No. It is the human brain. And our
This is on my
brain
list.
is truly amazing. Each of its 100 billion nerve cells has thousands of connections to other cells. So our brain not only stores information,
Oh, sorry, I just fucked that up. I'm not muting my microphone while I'm playing this, and I just realized I don't have headphones in. So if you're getting like um, feedback, let me know. Give me feedback.
Each of its 100 billion nerve cells has thousands of connections to other cells. So our brain not only stores information, it can also use that information to reason and make decisions. Today, our text is from chapter 6 of Deuteronomy. Please open your Bibles to that chapter and keep a marker there. We're going to refer to it a number of times. But here, Deuteronomy chapter 6 illustrates the capacity of our brain to process and store information.
Okay, so he's about to turn into a brain scientist. He's going to tell us the facts, the scientific facts about brains. And you can just tell right here, this is a guy who took that limitless pill that we learned about in that documentary that unlocks the full potential of your brain. I think that's actually just not true, right? I don't think it's true that we only use 10% of our brains. And maybe we should look that up. Is it true that humans only use 10% of the brain? God damn it. The fact that Google automatically puts an AI bullshit thing up top makes me, I hate this. I'm hoping that Google loses this antitrust lawsuit that's been brought against it. It's a fucking monopoly. They've made their own search engine absolutely terrible, but also squashed the ability for any other search engine to compete with them. And it's borderline unusable. It's a terrible search engine now. But Medical News Today, which may or may not be a fucking good website, says that it's a myth. We do use our brain. Everybody is saying, many people are saying that it's a myth. In fact, there is a Wikipedia entry called 10% of the brain myth. Interesting. The 10% of the brain myth, or 90% of the brain myth, states that humans generally use only 1/10 or some other small fraction of their brains. It has been misattributed to many famous scientists and historical figures, notably Albert Einstein. By extrapolation, it is suggested that a person may harness or unlock this unused potential and increase their intelligence. So it's just fake. It's just always fake. Interesting. I just mentioned that because it just felt like I heard this a gajillion times as a Jehovah's Witness, and I already forgot everything James Manses said. So maybe he already said this, but if he hasn't, he might.
It also contains some helpful memory aids. Today's text is verse 7, which is about child training. But that is only a part of the lessons we can learn from this chapter. Look at verses 1 to 3. And as we read them, picture yourself standing before Moses and listening to this exhortation. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 1 to 3.
Ooh, very good. Okay, Chandler says, huge philosophical problem here. You reason, not your brain. This is anti-free will determinism, but it's so subtle most people don't notice. Okay, so I missed it. He said that your brain reasons? Is that what we're refuting here? Because you're right, it was subtle and I missed it.
It says, now these are the commandments, the regulations, and the judicial decisions that Jehovah your God has given to teach you, so that you may observe them when you cross over into the land that you are to take possession of, in order that you may fear Jehovah your God and keep all his statutes and his commandments that I am commanding you.
Commandments that I'm commanding.
Your son, and your grandson, all the days of your life, so that you may live a long time.
The Bible?
And you must listen, O Israel, and carefully observe them, so that you may prosper and become very many in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as Jehovah, the God of your forefathers, has promised you. Just think, the Israelites were not following along in their own copy of the Bible.
What?
They weren't taking notes on paper or an electronic tablet.
Wow.
They had to use the God-given capacity of their brains to the full.
The scientific advancement of brain memory, remembering things that were said. This is a weird thing he's bringing up because this is actually an argument often used against the historical accuracy of the Bible, that Watchtower acknowledges that many of the stories in Genesis were passed on by oral tradition, and like stories about Jesus Christ were passed on just by oral tradition and recitation before they were ultimately written down. And that's usually a argument as to why you cannot trust the Bible. Because if you, who like just you've been on this stream the whole time and you've been paying attention mostly, if you had to leave this room right now and just write down everything that you're pretty sure I said, it wouldn't be right. Like, you would miss a lot of stuff. You would misquote things, and it's not because you're not good at learning or whatever the fuck. It's just like it's not actually a good way of recording accurate information, which is why Christianity, as I think it's pronounced, they have to rely on this added magical element of, well, then the Holy Spirit also just kind of made them remember. So they did remember it, but even if they didn't, magic kind of gave them a little boost.
They had to concentrate on what was being said, take it to heart, and then remember all those commandments, regulations, and judicial decisions. They had to meditate on how this
Never forget
information
that.
affected their personal relationship with Jehovah. And then they had to act on what they heard and teach it to their children.
Ayo.
That was a tall order. How could they remember all of that information?
How?
Well, it will help if we understand just how our memories work.
Yes.
First of all,
let's see. What scientific publications do we think James Vance is going to quote? Is he going to do the old thing where he's like, one study says, one research work claims, or is he just going to quote a Watchtower or Awake magazine?
our memory involves 3 stages: processing, storing, and retrieving information. Second, there are 3 basic kinds of memory.
Oh,
We
like
have
the art.
sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory.
Okay.
Sensory memory is memory that receives information through the senses. We remember how something smells.
Why does he know this? Why does he think this? He didn't get it from the Bible. It's something he read or learned from smart people, scientists who studied this thing, and he trusted it. And now he's telling it to the audience that's what sense memory is. But why? Why is he able to trust this, but he's not able to trust what they say about evolution? Why is he not able to trust what those same scientists say about the miracles of the Bible and whether or not it's possible for them to have happened based on things we can measure about the earth now? This kind of selective picking and choosing of interesting scientific facts is really frustrating. Christians do this. They love talking about how, like, all these amazing scientific things, and then they'll be like, and that's why it's so amazing that God did that. This is just amazing that that's what God did.
What it looks like. How does it feel? Short-term memory may be called our working memory. It helps us to retain small amounts of information
double
for a
wedding
brief period of
rings.
time, like when we're dialing a phone number. Our long-term memory is needed to store information indefinitely.
Ah,
The February 2009 issue of Awake contained an article, "You Can Improve Your Memory."
well, we got our
And it
answer,
listed 8
folks.
principles for putting information into our long-term memory.
Per Christensen and per this magazine that me and my friends wrote, here's what we tell you.
Let's consider how the Israelites might have applied 4 of these
How they
principles
might have
as they
applied
listened
these.
to Moses.
So this is a really tricky bit of word whiskery that they threw in there. Word weaselment. They just like, okay, so let's consider what they might have considered if they did the thing that I'm going to insist that they did for my talk. Like, the Bible doesn't talk about them using sense memory and long-term memory and techniques of memory for remembering all these passages of the Bible and stuff. So he just has to assume that they did. And if you trust that assumption, then you can trust the next thing that he's saying. You can trust it. I turned Italian for a second, but you know what I mean?
Moses' reading of the law. I think you'll find these memory principles helpful to retain Bible instruction and to benefit from the training that we receive here at Bethel and in the congregation.
Well,
The first principle is interest. The Israelites could remind themselves of the reasons for wanting to remember what Moses was telling them.
what? Well, he's trying to tell me this thing, and I want to remember this thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is remember all the reasons that I want to remember it. I'm not going to remember the thing, but I am going to think of the reasons why I want to remember the thing. And that's step 1.
And a primary reason is given right here in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, where it says, You must love Jehovah your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength.
How am I going to remember
Yes, a
something like
keen
that?
interest in Jehovah's instruction was essential in order for the Israelites to maintain a close relationship with Jehovah. Another principle is attention.
He's just moving on. That none of that made any sense. Didn't have to do with memory or interest or whatever the fuck he was saying.
One authority said most memory
One
failures
authority.
actually represent failures.
He's doing all of them. He's going to do all the greatest hits. So we had a Watch an Awake article from 2009. One authority stated, okay, like what kind of authority are you saying here? Because I don't know, the purchasing department at the hospital where I work has some authority over some things. So they are an authority. Did they say that?
In attention. So the Israelites needed to listen carefully and not let anything distract them.
Shh, give me time. I'm trying to listen and
Recitation is
remember
another
using my
principle. That
memory
means
techniques.
to repeat things out loud. And that strengthens the connections between the brain cells. And that's exactly what today's text is encouraging us to do. Deuteronomy 6, verse 7 says you must.
The daily text is reminding us to do what we are going to guess that the Israelites must have done. Otherwise, how would they have remembered all that stuff that they wrote in the Bible, which is true?
Inculcate them in your sons and speak of them or recite them on various occasions. A fourth principle is visualization. That means to make a mental picture of what we want to remember. So as the Israelites heard Moses speak the words of verse 7, no doubt they could picture in their own minds opportunities that they would have to speak of these things to their own children.
I have doubts of that. I don't know that I buy into this argument. So he's just saying that when they heard him say the thing, no doubt they pictured the thing in their brain. But also, not everybody does that. This is actually a real fact about brains, which is not everybody has that mental visualization thing. I was listening to John Green, like Vlogbrothers video, and I was surprised to hear him say this. Like sometimes, like if you like read the word apple on a page, right? You picture one in your mind, but not everybody does that. Just like not everybody has an internal monologue. And like I would have thought, because John Green's a writer, that he does have that, but he doesn't. He doesn't have that mind's eye thing. And so this is like a really wild assumption that he's making, because truly not everybody does what he's saying. But presumably, if they were following divine direction, they would have done it.
So by all means, go back to that February 2009 Awake.
That's a good point. He did say that there was no doubt. So I don't know why
the memory
I'm
principles.
acting like there's doubt.
But now let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 8 and 9. These verses describe another memory
I
aid.
like some
Let's
joke
read
from-
Deuteronomy 6, 8, and 9. It says, tie them as a reminder on your hand.
Like you could say one authority said, but it's actually like, okay, one authority said. So like Richard Dawkins, you know, I would say that he is an authority on evolutionary biology. But if you were to just cite one of his random tweets about something, well, even though it's something that an authority in a given field said, I don't think that should be taken as like, I'm just saying this kind of vague bullshit that they do. One authority, one research work says, like, it's just bad. It's just bad writing and speaking and source citing. It's stupid. It's dumb.
And they
lazy.
must be like a headband on your forehead. Write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. Yes, writing things down, taking notes.
How did they
is
do
a
that?
good memory aid.
They didn't go
But
to
we
school.
don't want to make the mistake of the Jewish religious leaders. Sometime after their return from Babylonian exile, they began to apply these words literally. So they wrote down scripture citations, put them into leather cases, and then attached those cases to their arms and their forehead.
I didn't know that. I've not heard this before. He's not citing a source, so I don't know if I can trust it. But famously, not everybody was able to read. And another thing that famously happened is that this priestly class started inserting things into holy books to be like, hey, it would be really great if we could tell people that God said this and that this was in scripture. So let's just add it in the margins. And much of the Bible, the Old Testament, has stuff that like, okay, well, these we think were probably originals. These were additions by a priestly class later. Anyway, this is sort of a anti-intellectual dumb fuck reading of the Bible anyway.
But they did this just
A
to
little
draw
harsh,
attention to
but
themselves.
I don't know.
They failed to understand the clear direction of Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6, where it says, "These words that I am commanding you today must be on your heart, not on your arm, not on your forehead." Or as Proverbs 7:3 says, "Write them on the tablet
Bruce
of your
Almighty.
heart." By taking God's instructions to heart, we will have God's laws and principles to guide us at all times.
This was just nonsense. This was just absolute bullshit the whole time. He made some statements about the brain, which had nothing to do with anything, because all he was saying is that the ancient Israelites had to remember stuff, and we have to remember stuff too now. And the stuff you have to remember is the stuff we're saying. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, LLC
Actions,
Industries.
not a leather case on the body or a plaque that we put on our doorpost, will be visible evidence that we respect God's word and we apply it personally.
If this was a
and
Rutherford
as a family.
era, that's what he would say. He'd be
So
like,
does this
"It says
mean
right
it's
there in the
wrong for
Bible
us to have a
tablet, and
scripture
look what we
citation
have
on
now,
our desk
tablets."
or perhaps on our refrigerator?
Rutherford
No.
had some crazy
We even
ones.
display the year text in our kingdom halls. When the Printery brothers in Japan had the privilege of printing the first complete Japanese New World Translation 40 years ago in 1982, they put the citation of Ezra chapter 7, verse 6 on the side of the press. And they did this as a reminder that they were sharing in a sacred work that started thousands of years earlier.
Wow. It's sort of like some people do this with a picture of a cat hanging from a tree. Little words that say hang in there. Just so they remember, hey, actually, you should hang in there. You really should be thinking about hanging in there. In case you're thinking of letting go, let these words be on your heart. Hang in there, little guy. Everything's going to be okay. So it's really profound when you think about it. The guy had an hour he had to fill with something. He had a new tie he wanted to show off. Unironically, I kind of think this tie rules.
Making copies of God's inspired word.
What is it?
As the pages of the
Just
Bible
design?
rolled off the press, the brothers were encouraged by the example of the copyist Ezra to do their best. How so?
Copyist.
The
It's my nickname for JW Panda. Uh-oh. This is why I shouldn't stream when I'm stoned.
Isaiah 40:26 is a wonderful recommendation on how we can appreciate.
Okay, so he's going to talk about creation. So I watched a little bit of this, and the beginning's very stupid. He's just like, hey, the verse says lift up our eyes, and then, but you should do that, actually, because you should look up at the sky and see creation.
When preparing this information on the subject of sovereignty, I couldn't help but think about the Caleb and Sophia video. It's entitled Make Jehovah.
I couldn't help but think of these little cartoons we make for babies. We make adults watch. Does he look a little airbrushed or something?
Perhaps you remember it. Depicted in the video was Caleb facing a
It looks like he's got one of those face smoothing filters on or something.
temptation in his life. And remember what he did when he was tempted? He looked up. He looked up in full recognition of Jehovah's sovereignty. And when Caleb looked up, what did he see? Well, he saw in his mind's eye myriads of angels.
This is, I think, one of the most illustrative little images that they've put out there. Like, I've used it a couple of times in videos now. It's a really good visualization of why it sucks to be a Jehovah's Witness, because every little decision you make, whether it's just what video game to play with your friend, or whether or not you're allowed to sign up for a club with your friends after school, like, everything is a divine challenge. Myriads of angels are cheering you on, hoping that you make the right decision that makes Jehovah happy. And then you've got Satan, the bad guys, the Slytherins of the world, just watching. They're hoping you're going to join their team. Like, that is a demented way to live your life. This is child abuse. It is abusive to do this to your child and make them think that secret, invisible people are watching their every move and are going to be happy or sad based on their actions. That's abusive, and I think if you do this, you're a shitty parent and you should stop it. And I can't believe that they talk about this so proudly on purpose, because it's an embarrassing video and they should feel bad.
cheering him on to do what is right in
Bold
Jehovah's
words,
eyes.
those coming out today.
They were urging him to stand up for Jehovah's sovereignty, make Jehovah's heart glad. Caleb did what was
Good call. He's also doing the thing where he's talking about he's talking about Caleb as if he's a real guy, which they always do. History of education in ancient Israel and Judah, Wikipedia. I just learned that they're going to be studying one of the children's books for book study or whatever they call it now. Oh my God, you're right. I saw somebody post about that. I forget. Is it? It is like their new Bible story book, isn't it? Something like that. This is a grown man in a suit talking to a room full of adults who work for the same company as him. And he's like, what this really made me think of is this cartoon. This little cartoon where cartoon angels are watching a cartoon boy playing basketball. And that's what we're going to talk about this morning on our Serious Religion. Thank you to QC Man for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate it. Mr. Sato says very sick. It is.
right.
This is a sick video.
And what was the reaction of those heavenly spirit
Well,
creatures?
with the reaction of
observing
the
him
fictional cartoon
in this
angels,
temptation?
you remember the thing that we made?
Well, the angels rejoiced
They
because
cheered.
Caleb stood up for Jehovah's sovereignty. And most importantly, he made Jehovah's heart glad so that Jehovah could give a reply to the one that taunts him.
It's just insane. They are talking about a fake fucking cartoon that they made and citing it with the same like portent as they do with Bible accounts. Like, and if you recall in this real story that happened, Caleb was tempted. And if you remember what we saw in the documentary, when the camera panned up to heaven, the angels, what did they do? They cheered. They cheered. I just like imagine me doing this with fake fictional things. Imagine me being like, and do you remember how the galaxy reacted when the Death Star exploded, the second Death Star? Well, they cheered, didn't they? They pulled down that statue of Emperor Palpatine. The city of Coruscant held a celebration. The Gungans did another thing. They shot little fireworks into the sky. On the sky planet, Bespin, more cheering. This is the special edition, of course. Severance is great. Severance is the best. I've got a script partly written about it. I think that it is eerie how close it is in spirit and substance to Jehovah's Witnesses. The way that they deify corporate policy manuals is amazing. If anybody hasn't seen Severance, absolutely worth it. Like, just get Apple Plus for a month. You know, see if you can find a free trial, watch that show, and then cancel it.
Now, that was an animated depiction, and it's cute, but the point is very clear.
And it's cute, but
And
it's also
basically,
100%
this is
true.
a scenario that we face each day of our life, sometimes each moment
It's
of our
fictional,
life as we serve Jehovah.
but
Who
also
do we
God
want
made it.
to rule us? Who do
So
we want to
probably
be
something we
our
can learn.
sovereign? Who are we going to make rejoice? Whenever we watch television, when we surf the internet, when we
Surf
decide
the internet.
what to wear,
Modern
what movie
term.
to watch, how to dress, to groom ourselves, how much we're going to drink, whether we won't drink, well, will we look up? Will we lift up our eyes? Will we recognize Jehovah's sovereignty in our life, or will we look down and perhaps only see ourselves? In every aspect of life, we have to look up. We have to prove by our choices and our decisions that we want Jehovah to be.
So it's a fake fictional thing that was just cute, but it's also super real, because really the angels actually are watching you, and you should look up and consider that that situation is happening to you for real.
Our ruler. We want Jehovah to be our sovereign. Now, I'd like to briefly discuss two Bible examples that illustrate the blessings of looking up, recognizing Jehovah's sovereignty, and the disastrous consequences that result when we look down and perhaps only see ourselves. These are familiar examples, but they make our point.
Apparently,
the first example is that of David and his encounter with Bathsheba.
Really
we're familiar with that. It's recorded in 2 Samuel chapter 11. We might turn our Bibles there.
Ooh.
Second.
Very nice bit of data here from Sam Burns Toast. Over the last 3 years, the writing team have used only 120 different scriptures across all meetings during the years. If you have like a spreadsheet or something, can you send that to me? Like whatever that is, that where you're getting that information, because that's really interesting. And I bring it up a lot just as a joke on the show that they've got like 10 scriptures that they cycle through, but it would be really interesting to know if that's true. Oh no, Sparky hates Don't Look Up. Nope. Oh yeah, Nope rules. I just love all of Jordan Peele's movies. I need to rewatch that one.
Samuel chapter
I've
11.
only seen it the once.
Now, you might remember in verse number 1, it speaks of David's men going to war, fighting the Ammonites, but David stayed back. He stayed home. The 1967 Watchtower suggests that possibly he was home taking it easy.
What a guess. I mean, what the fuck? Maybe he had the flu.
Well, could this have been an indication that David was beginning to look down?
Wow. Okay, listen to all the weasel words here. This is crazy. Okay, so Dave, in this account in the Bible, David's men are going to war, but he stayed back. Now, that could be possibly because David's a king, and he doesn't necessarily need to be on the battlefield all the time. Maybe. I don't know. And I legitimately don't know, because I don't know if that adds up. But let's listen to the specific words
Stayed back. He stayed home. The 1967 Watchtower suggests...
Okay, the premise is a magazine that his own religion wrote in the 60s suggesting a possibility. So that's it. It's just this one magazine suggesting a possibility.
That possibly he was home.
Possibly David was home taking it easy. That he was being a lazy son of a bitch, just hanging out, chilling, relaxing, and maxing all cool, and possibly playing some people outside the school while his guys were fighting the Ammonites. So the premise is a magazine suggested that possibly David was being lazy.
Taking it easy. Well, could this have been an indication?
And if that's true, could that have been an indication?
Indication that David was beginning.
That David was beginning to look down? A metaphor that he just invented for this talk?
To look down. Well, in verse 2, he really looks down.
Oh.
It says, one evening, David got up from his bed.
Well, so it's not even connected. This is different. This is one evening. So it was just a totally different time, maybe.
And walked around on the rooftop of the king's house. From the rooftop, he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful.
He is lying. It doesn't say that he literally looked down in this verse. And they've depicted this in other artwork where their buildings are equal height. But they just drew it like this. So
as David was looking down, he was becoming more and more absorbed with himself and his own desires. David was beginning to choose another sovereign. Well, note what happens as he keeps looking down. Verse 3 says, David sent someone to inquire about the woman. They mentioned that this is Bathsheba. Verse 4 then says, David sent messengers to bring her. So she came into him, and he lay down with her.
Okay, so for you, any witnesses watching, they don't tell you this in the church, because they're always telling you what things may or may not mean. But this is a rape that happened. This wasn't like a beautiful love scene where David and Bathsheba exchanged glances and had a little flirtation. He was like, hey, you should come over to my place. And she was like, okay. No, he used his authority as a man to be like, hey, bring that woman to me. And then they did, so that he could lie down with her. This is rape. So that's your guy. That's your guy from the Bible.
Well, we know the rest of the story. The adultery eventually leads to the death of Bathsheba's husband, Uriah. So
even though she was married,
David was looking down.
No, stop saying
David
that.
had trouble in his life or in his house for the rest of his life. These are the disastrous consequences when we look down. Oh
yeah, he really reaped the consequences of continuing to be king and being one of the most famous people ever in the Bible, who assholes like Anthony Griffin still talk about years later and do rape apology for your creepy past crimes.
Choose another sovereign in our life. Well, contrast that with the example
Jehovah
of
wasn't
Joseph
sad
in Genesis
about that
chapter
much.
39. We might look there. When Joseph was faced with temptation to commit adultery, Joseph looked up. He lifted up his eyes in full recognition of Jehovah's sovereignty.
You don't know? No, you are adding that part.
Genesis 39, the account, it says in verse 7. Now, after these things, the wife of his master began to cast her eyes on Joseph and say, "Lie down with me." So he refused and said to his master's wife. Now, as we read Joseph's response, you can almost see in your mind Joseph lifting up his eyes in recognition of Jehovah's sovereignty.
Wow, you can almost
Verse 8 continues.
view the fan fiction that Anthony Griffin needs you to believe for his fucking fan fiction to make sense.
Here my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has entrusted everything he has into my care. There is no one greater in this house than I am, and he has not withheld from me anything at all except you, because you are his wife. So how could I commit this great badness and actually sin against Potiphar? No, that's looking down. He was concerned about sinning against Jehovah. What a beautiful example of looking up.
What a beautiful example of the thing I invented for this talk. Amazing. It's right there in the Bible the whole time. I just had to tell you that you can imagine in your mind's eye that he did look up, even though the Bible doesn't necessarily say it. Insane. Lie down. It was just, they just had a lie down. They just had a little lie down. Hey, thanks for being... Oh, this is such a nice comment from Saturos. Hey, y'all, thanks for being there during my wake-up process and helping me keep it lighthearted at times. Thanks so much for saying that. That I appreciate that. That's my whole goal. I hope people laugh through it without being too triggered. That's why I do it for myself. This stuff, I'm going to think about it anyway. Figure I might as well laugh about it. So
He
I don't
looked up.
cry.
Joseph chose Jehovah as his sovereign. So what's the lesson? The
At
lesson is
gunpoint,
our
kind of,
decisions
but
in life
okay.
and our reactions to
I mean,
temptations.
Joseph didn't really have that much of a
choice.
choice.
Well, what does that mean? That means that there's a lot at stake. It means that what we do, where we go, what we wear, how we speak and act, what we drink, how much we drink, all of these things reflect not just on ourselves, but on the God that we serve.
Now, if I was smart and had an editor to like pull clips for streams and upload them unilaterally, I would do a full little segment on this. Maybe I can just do a video on it and articulate my thoughts better. I've been thinking about, like, one of my earliest ideas for a video that I keep on trying to do, but just other stuff always comes up, is like, what's required to be a Jehovah's Witness? Just a week in the life of a Jehovah's Witness. What do you have to do? You know, not to be a regular pioneer or an elder, even just on a base level, your entry level Jehovah's Witness package. What do you get? And he really just articulated it here in 30 seconds or less. Like, no matter who you are, you have to be thinking about all these things, every action that you do, what you wear, what you say, what you think in your own brain. You have to think about how that reflects on God and the organization. And there's angels watching you all the time, and Satan watching you all the time, keeping score, literally, to see if are you pulling in more points for Satan or for Jehovah. And he kind of just said it really simply right there. I think that's why I think that just no matter when you wake up, even if it's later in your life, and sometimes people ask, like, is it ethical to wake up my grandmother? You know, she's been in the organization for 70 years. I just feel like, I don't know, the level of peace that I feel not having this stuff weigh on my mind all the time is worth it. And even though when you leave, there are consequences because the group makes there be consequences for leaving, like, it's still worth being able to live a life where you don't take this seriously, where you're not always worried about what the angels are thinking, or Satan peeking behind your computer in lion form, seeing if you're watching porn. And if you do, he'll like laugh at God, like that famous picture. So he really just kind of gave an everything wrong with Jehovah's Witnesses in 5 minutes.
Lifting
Good job,
up his
Anthony.
eyes in recognition of Jehovah's sovereignty.
Also noticing he likes to say,
Verse
what a
8
beautiful
continues.
example.
Here my master does not know
He said that in
what
the
is with me in the
recipe
house,
talk.
and he has entrusted everything he has into my care. There is no one greater in this house than I am, and he has not withheld from me anything at all except you, because you are his wife. So how could I commit this great badness and actually sin against Potiphar?
How could I commit this great badness? Was that was one of my favorite little jokes as a witness. I would like just anytime like you can throw it out if you're like somebody hits you with a green shell in Mario Kart, just like how could you go and do this great badness? Gotta laugh. Witnesses liked that. I still say it sometimes. Thanks, Lo. I really do help. I can be such a negative Nelly, but you help me keep it silly. That's nice. I appreciate that. But he asked for forgiveness when Nathan went to rebuke him. So I was like, what? Oh, my bad. I just jumped into the middle of a conversation. And
no, that's looking down. He was concerned about sinning against Jehovah. Now, sin. So how could I commit this great badness and actually sin against Potiphar? No, that's looking down. He was concerned about sinning against Jehovah.
What?
What a beautiful example of looking.
What a beautiful example.
He looked up.
What do you think? Should I do a supercut of this guy saying what a beautiful example? Because, I mean, I've already got 3 just for free. 3 freebies is what I've got. He said it twice in this talk. He said it a couple times in the JW recipe talk. I'm seeing a TikTok come together right before my very eyes.
Joseph chose Jehovah as his sovereign.
You know, I don't know anything about numbers
so
or math,
lesson?
but when it comes to making
the lesson
people
is
say
our
the same
decisions
word over
in life
and over again,
and our reactions to temptations and pressures are
that.
bigger than we are. Well, what does that mean? That means that there's a lot at stake. It means that what we do, where we go, what we wear, how we speak and act, what we drink, how much we drink, all of these things reflect not just on ourselves, but on the God that we serve. Even how we feel.
That doesn't even make sense. It reflects poorly on Jehovah that you're eating too much cake or drinking too much alcohol. It makes him look bad. Like, no. This organization makes Jehovah look bad, by the way. Like, let's assume Jehovah exists for a second. Well, okay, let's pretend he exists for a second. His people are terrible. They have made the name Jehovah associated with scolding, holier than thou, weaselly tax dodgers who have billions of dollars off of labor scam, and then they use that money to fight to silence victims of their own abuse and protect pedophiles within their own religion. And that's what they're known for. They're known for being the awkward, cringy people who ruin everyone's fun by not celebrating holidays, but annoying people at their homes and giving out homophobic propaganda. They're known for being rude and cheap and out of touch with reality, and that's what they're known for. That's how they're reflecting Jehovah. Sorry, that was really mean about Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, I know many wonderful Jehovah's Witnesses. I think that what I've learned as an ex-JW is that this rosy reputation that the organization says we had is like not a thing. And actually, people, generally speaking, have pretty negative impressions of the group for reasons that make sense when you listen to this guy talk.
About ourselves. Satan says that we are worthless, we are unforgivable. But when we look up and we see Jehovah's sovereignty, we begin to see ourselves as Jehovah sees us. We see his mercy. We see that we have worth in his eyes. Everything we do, everything we think is a reflection of our attitude toward Jehovah's sovereignty. So it's a wonderful privilege to support Jehovah's sovereignty. There's a beautiful comment in the Insight book under sovereignty that really captures what we want our attitude to be. It says, the kind of persons Jehovah desires in his universe
are
persons who serve him because of love for him and for his fine qualities. They must love Jehovah's sovereignty. They must desire it and prefer it over any other. They must be persons that, even if it were possible for them to become independent, would choose his sovereignty because they know that his rulership is far wiser, more righteous, and better than any other.
Wait, what? I need to hear this again. I'm sorry. What is he even quoting?
The sovereignty. There's a beautiful comment.
Okay. A beautiful comment. I'm 100% doing the beautiful supercut. I have to now. It's an obligation to my autism. It's a little promise I made with myself just now. There's a beautiful comment in the Insight book under sovereignty, but there's this thing about even if they had the ability
And
to.
in the Insight book under sovereignty,
Okay.
that really captures what we want our attitude to be.
This is what we want our attitude to be.
It says, the kind of persons Jehovah desires in his universe are persons who serve him because of love for him and for his fine qualities.
Insane. Already, that's crazy. Like, the kind of people that I want to be friends with are people who serve me, who spend all their time thinking about me, and love me because of my amazing qualities. That's the kind of person that I want to be alive, only, everywhere. That's the kind of person who should be allowed to exist. It's people who serve me and love me willingly because I'm just so amazing.
They must love Jehovah's sovereignty.
They must love how
They must
amazing
desire it and prefer it
sanctified
over
I
any
am.
other.
Sanctified. And ideally, the kinds of people who I want to allow to live and not kill in Armageddon, they must desire my sovereignty. They must want me to be their king, and they have to prefer me over every other king.
They must be persons that, even if it were possible for them to become independent,
even because they're not independent, they're slaves, and I make them my slaves, and I call them my slaves, and they have to think of themselves as slaves in order to be loved by me and to remain not dead in Armageddon. But even if it was possible for them to become independent of my slave mastery, they would still choose me anyway because they just love me so much. So I do make them not independent. I make them totally dependent on me for everything. But even if I granted them freedom, they would reject it. I don't trust them
would
to actually
choose
do that.
his sovereignty because they know that his rulership is far wiser, more righteous, and better than any other.
They know. They're not allowed to check or try anything else out, but they do just know that.
So yes, we feel that there is no better ruler, there's no better sovereign than Jehovah. And even if we could become independent, we choose Jehovah as our sovereign because we
Wow, you can tell he's uncomfortable with that part. Even if we could become independent, we would choose
there's no
not
better
to.
sovereign than Jehovah. And even if we could become independent, we choose Jehovah as our sovereign because
Whoops. He almost said we choose not to be independent. This talk is not good for them. This is not good for them at all, because all the arguments they make in court about disfellowshipping and about reporting child sexual abuse to the police is that everybody in the church, as they would call it legally, everybody is independent and has the freedom to make their own decisions. Nobody is forced to accept anything. But this is a talk about how, no, if you want to be loved by Jehovah and be a true servant and be a member of this organization, you have to do things our way. You have to choose not to be independent. You can't be independent. You just said it.
we know that Jehovah's way is best. So remember, the big issue is not what we want. It's about Jehovah's sovereignty. It's about doing what pleases Jehovah, conforming to the way Jehovah wants us to be. So in every aspect of our life, let us always look up in full recognition of Jehovah's sovereignty in our life.
Embarrassing. Totally embarrassing. This guy works for the service department, so he's evil. He's actually an evil person. Wow. Well, I gotta say, I've been having a good old time because 2 hours and 13 minutes just flew by. Thanks for joining. It was super fun. That's kind of it. I actually need to get to editing. I think next week okay. This is the first September of the month. So I'm supposed to do my members only stream, but I think the once a month is going to have to be a flexible once a month, because I do need to finish editing this. I don't have it set up where my DaVinci Resolve can output sound when I stream. So I don't have the ability to stream myself editing. I need to get that set up. Maybe I can make that a goal, is to get like OBS Studio set up instead of StreamYard, so that I could actually stream myself editing, because that would be useful, be fun. And you guys can like pitch in and like give ideas for jokes and stuff. I've seen some YouTube poop editors stream their editing, which is I think that's a super fun idea. So thanks for watching, everybody, and let's see. What should we do? I did just want to play this because I want to play it more, and I keep forgetting to play it, and I think we need to, and we can play this. It makes sense because I think we have to condemn a lot of things that we heard today. I think we have to condemn fully their weird Irish tax aversion scheme.
Condemnation.
And that brings us into the condemnation corner. I think that we have to condemn Nance. Was it Robert Nance? That's the guy who talks like this for just being boring, just doing a really boring talk that was not worth our time.
Condemnation.
And then I think we have to condemn Anthony Griffin for giving a really bad, poorly argued fan fiction talk where he just made up a bunch of stuff and said, well, probably this is what the Bible means. And anyway, the point is that you have to obey us no matter what, okay? The point is that even if you had independence, which you don't, you would still choose us anyway.
Condemnation.
So we have to condemn all of those people. And I'm glad that we were able to do that. Goodbye, everyone. Let's go out with the classic intro.
Okay, it's up. Guess who just walked in? There's Jake.